Today's sporting results. Final score with Ray Stubbs.
Good afternoon, and as sport goes headlong into its Christmas holiday programme, in the FA Carling Premiership, Manchester United march on. Chelsea slip up at home to Wimbledon. At Anfield, it's Liverpool 3, Leeds 1. And at Hillsborough, visitors Blackburn are drawing with Sheffield Wednesday. In racing, Seymour Business does the business in the big race of the day there. Right, match reports coming up. Let's start at Old Trafford. League leaders Manchester United at home to Everton. Here's Gerald Sinster.
Schmeichel sent home with Flew, Giggs and Sheringham on the bench. It made no difference. United were so lordly, Everton so impoverished, one became critical that it was only 2-0 at the end. In the first half, Berg's header from Beckham's corner gave Manchester the lead. Cole doubled it with a 25-yard lob over Mura, who had earlier saved superbly from Scholes. Beckham clipped the crossbar. A regal move climaxed with Cole's header into the net, properly ruled offside. Other chances were squandered. When Everton sent on 16-year-old Francis Jeffers for the second half, the impression of men against boys was heightened. Gradually, though, United lost their zest. At times, they almost seemed to be trying out moves that might come in useful in more serious games later. It should have been more than 2-0, but the underlying impression was that the league table does not misrepresent either of these sides.
That could be awesome for football. Let's hear the background now before Chelsea's draw with Wimbledon. Steve May has those details.
Chelsea have scored many goals this season. They've also conceded some rather silly ones, and that really was the story of this match. Luca Vialli scored his 12th goal of the season after 6 minutes as Chelsea carved up the Wimbledon defence like the proverbial Christmas turkey, and we expected many more to come. Sullivan produced a top-class save from Di Matteo, and there was some frantic defending from heroic Wimbledon back four, or should that be back eight. But just as we expected the next one to come, it did at the other end. A long ball saw Frank Sinclair sell Eddie de Hoy short. Michael Hughes nipped in, rounded de Hoy, and despite Sinclair backpedalling to the goal line to save his blushes, Hughes' finish was precise despite the angle.
At Anfield, it was Liverpool against Leeds. David Oates was there.
Liverpool 3, Leeds 1, 3 quality finishes from young strike duo Michael Owen and Robbie Fowler, enough to give Liverpool a comfortable enough victory in the end. In truth, both those strikers could have hit hat-tricks after the break as the Leeds defence disintegrated. Owen whacked in the first just 50 seconds after the break. Fowler added the others late on. It could quite easily have been 5 or 6, but Leeds always in with a sniff while it was 1-0. They didn't do enough in attack, though, to warrant even a point. Haaland's late header, merely a consolation.
Let's get some details behind the other games in the FA Carling Premiership today. At Highbury, Arsenal 2, Leicester City 1. That was an own goal from Leicester's Steve Walsh that helped Arsenal to that much-needed victory. David Platt had opened the scoring for the Gunners. At the other end of the table, at Goodney, Bergson equaliser salvaged a point for Bolton in their 1-1 draw at home to the bottom club Barnsley. Paul Kitson scored the only goal as West Ham increased Coventry's problems at Upton Park. Dutch midfielder George Boating was sent off in only his second game for the Sky Blues. He's the 4th Coventry player to be sent off this season. And Crystal Palace are still waiting for their first home win of the season. Neil Shipley scored a second-half equaliser after Matthew Oakley had given Saints the lead. Substitute Istik Zohar missed a late penalty for Palace. Right, let's go to a match report now from Hillsborough. That's Sheffield Wednesday against Blackburn. And here's Peter Slater.
It's finished 0-0, and if this is the week when Manchester United begin to stretch ahead of the rest, in part they can thank Wednesday, who recovered well from Saturday's embarrassment against Chelsea. The first half saw clearances off the line at both ends, Pembridge denying Gallagher, Cross stopping Peter Rudy, but the better chances came to Blackburn, none better than in the early moments of the second half, when Gallagher laid the ball off to Chris Sutton, whose volley was turned away one-handed by Pressman. If Wednesday had had any more natural width, they could have posed more problems. At the other end, the defence battled well against Duff and Ripley, but right to the end, Blackburn kept coming forward. Sutton's header cleared off the line in the last minute, Gallagher firing just over an injury time. A good 0-0, especially if you support Manchester United.
And on Boxing Day, here is the classified check on all today's results.
And first the FA Carling Premiership. Arsenal 2, Leicester City 1. Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur kick off at 5 o'clock. Bolton Wanderers 1, Barnsley 1. Chelsea 1, Wimbledon 1. Crystal Palace 1, Southampton 1. Derby County 1, Newcastle United 0. Liverpool 3, Leeds United 1. Manchester United 2, Everton 0. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Blackburn Rovers 0. West Ham United 1, Coventry City 0. Nationwide Football League Division 1, Charlton Athletic 2, Norwich City 1. Crewe Alexandra 1, Manchester City 0. Huddersfield Town 0, Middlesbrough 1. Ipswich Town 0, Birmingham City 1. Nottingham Forest 3, Swindon Town 0. Portsmouth 3, Queen's Park Rangers 1. Reading 2, West Bromwich Albion 1. Stockport County against Port Vale, that's a late one. Stoke City 2, Sheffield United 2. Sunderland 2, Bradford City 0. Tranmere Rovers 0, Bury 0. Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Oxford United 0. League Division 2, Bournemouth 4, Gillingham 0. Brentford 1, Southend United 1. Bristol City 4, Millwall 1. Burnley 0, Chesterfield 0. Carlisle United 1, Blackpool 1. Luton Town 2, Northampton Town 2. Plymouth Argyle 1, Fulham 4. Preston North End 1, Oldham Athletic 1. Walsall 0, Bristol Rovers 1. Wrexham 2, Wigan Athletic 2. Wycombe Wanderers 0, Watford 0. York City 0, Grimsby Town 0. League Division 3, Barnet 2, Peterborough United 0. Brighton 4, Colchester United 4. Cambridge United 1, Leyton Orient 0. Cardiff City 1, Exeter City 1. Darlington 4, Macclesfield Town 2. The Doncaster Rovers match against Mansfield Town was postponed because of storm damage. The Pools panel have adjudged an away win. Hartlepool United 3, Scarborough 0. Hull City 1, Chester City 2. Lincoln City 0, Rotherham United 1. Rochdale 3, Shrewsbury Town 1. Scunthorpe United 1, Notts County 2. Torquay United 2, Swansea City 0. The Vauxhall Conference, Cheltenham 2, Yeovil Town 0. Dover Athletic 2, Welling United 1. Gateshead 2, Halifax Town 2. Hensford Town 1, Kettering Town 1. Hereford United 1, Kidderminster Harriers 0. Leek Town 3, Telford United 1. Morecambe 2, Southport 0. Northwich Victoria against Staleybridge Celtics, a late one. Rushton and Darmont 2, Stevenage Borough 0. Slough Town 0, Hayes 0. Woking 3, Farnborough Town 0.
Some late kickoffs in the Nationwide Football League Division 1. Stockport County 3, Port Vale 0. In the Vauxhall Conference, it's Northwich Victoria 0, Staleybridge Celtic 0. Stockport's a result, and that Northwich game is the latest. Let's take a look at how everything affects the pools today. On the coupons, there are 12 score draws, 5 no-score draws. And the full-time score draws, 2, 3, 4, 18, 23 and 26. 27, 29, 31, 36, 47 and 48. Now let's take a look at the 5 full-time no-score draws. 8, 20, 25, 32 and 33. Half-time pools news coming up. And on the coupons there, 9 half-time score draws, 19 half-time no-score draws. The half-time forecast is good. And of course, details on CFAX page 312. Now let's take a look at the FA Carling Premiership. It's been a good Boxing Day for Manchester United, who have extended their lead at the top to 6 points. Andy Cole scored his 14th goal in 14 games. They coasted to victory over Everton at Old Trafford, while their closest rivals Blackburn were held to a goalless draw at Sheffield Wednesday. Chelsea also lost ground today with their 1-1 draw against Wimbledon after Gianluca Vialli had given the Blues an early lead at Stamford Bridge. 2 goals from Robbie Fowler at Anfield helped take Liverpool into 4th above their opponents today, Leeds. That's on goal difference. Arsenal stay in the top 6 after their 2-1 win at home to Leicester. Goals from David Platt and a Steve Walsh own goal. Derby stay in touch with the leaders courtesy of an early penalty against Newcastle at Pride Park, converted by Stefano Aranio. Now at the bottom, Barnsley stay there after their 1-1 draw at Bolton. They're now just 2 points behind Everton, who lost at Old Trafford. Tottenham's game at Villa Park has just kicked off. Coventry slip a place and Bolton move above the Sky Blues with their point at home to Barnsley. Let's take a look at the top of the table in Division 1. A Kevin Gray own goal was enough to give Middlesbrough a victory over Huddersfield and keep them on top. Above Forest on goal difference. 2 goals from Kevin Campbell and 1 from Andy Johnson helped Forest to a 3-0 win over Swindon. Charlton move up to 3rd after they beat Norwich, and Sheffield United were held to a 2-2 draw at Stoke. Sunderland move up 1 place after a win over Bradford, but bad start for new West Brom manager Dennis Smith, who saw his side lose 2-1 at Reading. And at the bottom, well, it's Bury find themselves propping up the division this evening after crucial wins for Portsmouth and Crewe. Huddersfield dropped to 2nd bottom. Tranmere also dropped down a place. Portsmouth moved up 3 places after their win at Queen's Park Rangers, and Crewe are now above Manchester City after beating them today. And we go into Division 2, and the gap between the 2 runaway leaders has closed up to 2 points. The leaders Watford were held to a goalless draw at Wycombe, while Bristol City beat fellow promotion contenders Millwall 4-1. There's now a 16-point gap between Bristol City and Oldham, who stay 3rd with a 1-1 draw at Preston. Northampton stay in the top 5 with a draw at Luton. Take a look at the bottom. Carlisle drew at home to Blackpool today, but stay rooted at the bottom. That's because Burnley also picked up a point at home to Chesterfield. Luton moved out of the bottom 3 after their draw against Northampton. Plymouth were the only team in the bottom 5 to lose today. They took an early lead before going down 4-1. Right, let's have a look at Division 3. And Notts County are still up there on 47 points, and chasing hard Peterborough United, Lincoln City and Exeter. Rotherham are just about keeping in touch as well. It's all pretty close for this chasing group down there. Let's take a look at the bottom of the table. And Doncaster's game today was abandoned. They stay bottom, now 9 points adrift of Brighton. Right, let's take a quick look at the Vauxhall Conference. Halifax, the only draw at the bottom club Gateshead today. Their lead has been cut to 4 points by Cheltenham. So there's that result from the conference. Northwich Victoria won against Stalybridge Celtic. That was a late winner for the Vics. And confirmation of what that does for the table. Halifax could only draw, but there they are, still at the top. Morecambe move over Hednesford with that win at home to Southport. Let's have a look towards the weekend. On Sunday, of course, there'll be another final score at 10-5. Match of the day is at 10:10. All the Premiership goals from today. Sunday's games, of course, 9 more matches to get there. Match of the day, BBC One, 10:10. Right, as well as football, there's some rugby games been played today. Let's catch up with those results.
First to Rugby Union Allied Dunbar Premiership 1 result. Saracens 21, Leicester 22. In Rugby League friendly matches, Featherstone Rovers 18, Wakefield Trinity 12, Leeds 32, Halifax 14, Wigan 46, St Helens 2.
Let's get some cricket news. Plenty of cricket going on this holiday. First of all, cricket news and women's cricket. The holders England have failed to reach the final of the Women's World Cup in India. They lost to New Zealand by 20 runs in today's semi-final. Opener Debbie Hockley gave the New Zealand innings a solid platform with a steady 43, but they looked to be heading for a low total before taking 57 runs off the last 10 overs to finish on 175 for 6. Charlotte Edwards and Barbara Daniels then led England's attempt to reach the target, but despite a late flourish from Jan Britton, England, who were docked in over in controversial circumstances for a slow over rate, were always struggling. They lost their last 6 wickets for just 39 runs. New Zealand play Australia in the final. More cricket news. Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting led the Australian fight back on the first day of the first test against South Africa in Melbourne. The partnership with Ponting has so far been worth 129, and Australia will start the second day on 206 for 4. Some horse racing news now at Kempton today. Outsiders dominated Boxing Day's traditional big race. That's the Pertemps King George VI Chase at Kempton. And Seymour Business at 10-1 stayed on strongly to outpoint the challenger Duluc at 16-1. Rough Quest at 11-2. Big race of the day at Leopardstown was the Denny Gold Medal. It featured some of the best young steeplechasers in Ireland. Here's the closing statement.